Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome back for another video. It's nice to see a green day for once, but hey, let's take a look at this. We're going to talk about Bitcoin and what I'm seeing with funding. Funding's a really big thing right now, and we're going to see how this plays out. But also short-term, long-term holders with miners, et cetera, et cetera. So, all right, positive movement. Good to see over the last 24 hours. 24 hours ago, I mean, we were kind of struggling. People talking about going down to the lower 40s, and maybe that sentiment has changed now. But as far as I'm concerned, am I a bull or a bear? Well, we're still under the bull market support band. I mean, one positive thing that I will say is that we did have a few days closing below the 200-day simple moving average and the 50-week simple moving average, which we have held the line with the 50-week simple moving average for quite a while. I mean, you go back to July, we had 2 days under the 50-week simple moving average before jumping higher. And my hope and expectation is that, again, we had 2-3 days below the 50-week simple moving average, that has been kind of the last defense over this run, that we bounce above it, we hold above it, and then we move higher. This is very, very similar to July in sentiment, in price action, in moving averages, all that stuff. And that would support, again, a reason why I believe that we're not going to spend as much time under the bull market support band this time around as we did over the summer, when it was about 3 months under the 21 weekly EMA, the 20-week simple moving average, all of that. So let's just take a look at some things. Now, first of all, this was over the previous 24 hours. We did have a decent amount of inflows to exchanges. Glassnode is reporting 436 million. That is after a week of 1.7 billion dollars worth of Bitcoin being taken off of exchanges. That over the previous 24 hours, we had 436 million transferred onto exchanges. That is a good short-term indicator of selling pressure. And we saw that yesterday. Bitcoin got down to what, $45,600, something like that. So that has played out. And I would expect over this 24-hour period for more outflows to continue, that this was just a one-time thing. The big thing that I'm looking at right now is funding. You can see right here, let me zoom in on this. We are seeing a quick, sharp rise in funding. Now, is that good news or is that bad news? I would say that this is pretty heavily more favoring shorts than longs. And so the potential for a short squeeze, a move to the upside, is much greater than a long squeeze, a liquidation event where we're moving to the downside. And so we saw that a little bit overnight as Bitcoin, I know this is a daily chart, so you can't really see that all that much, but we saw some aggressive moves upward over the last, over the evening, while most of us, at least in the United States, were asleep. And what happened? A little bit, not a ton, but a little bit of liquidations happened. And so we're seeing, as a result of this increased funding, that's what's going on. And some other things, let's take a look at miners. I wanted to look at miners real quick. So miners, again, aren't really nothing to report much from miners. They're continuing to hold. The big thing that I'm curious to see is when we get back up to the mid 50s, what are miners going to do? I don't think that, perhaps if we were to spend 2 or 3 months in this range, maybe the miners would capitulate. But as far as right now is concerned, I don't see any concerns for miners at this level as far as them offloading their positions. The reason why I say around the mid 50s is that if they think that we are about to enter a full-blown bear market, it's going to be very interesting to see what miners and what long-term holders plan on doing at that level. That's kind of, it's the 702 retracement level, that it's a big level that whenever we have some kind of a crash, we always, not only in crypto, but in anything else, we typically at least bounce back to that level, dead cat bounce, whatever you want to call it, before dumping even further. And so if they believe that we are done for this cycle, there's going to be a lot of selling at that point. And I honestly, even that's just going to be a scary time in general. I think that there's going to be some selling at that point. But what I expect long-term holders and miners to do is to continue to hold for the most part. Some will dump, but for the most part, they'll hold and we'll move higher. We will see, but I'm going to be very interested to see. I'm going to be anxious at that time, and we'll see what happens. But A couple other things that I wanted to point out. I know that this is pretty much going to be a short video. So remember, I made this video where I talked about how whales don't buy tops. They don't buy tops. And what did we see here? We saw a lot of whale activity. You know, you see dark blue on this chart. That means a lot of whales are buying. They tend to buy local tops. You can see here on the way up to breaking the 2017 high of $20,000, a lot of whale buying, but then it slowed down, but then they were done. But you know, you see whale buying local top, whale buying local top, then dump local top, and then they tend to buy local tops before a big move upward. And so they bought up to $67,000 in October, and then, you know, went down to the 50s, but then jumped up to $69,000 in November. And historically, what should have happened based off past Bitcoin price action was that this should have jumped higher, but something happened. Something happened. I talked about this on my Twitter account, on my TikTok account. Something was different this time. And what I've come to the conclusion of, we've looked at selling activity in Asia. Now, I'm not going to pull that up. I am going to pull up the Huobi selling activity. It's insane. But as far as Asia is concerned, they have been acting very different than the United States and then Europe over the last month or so. So in the United States, you're seeing a lot of buying over the last month at $69,000, at $42,000, and everywhere in between. In Europe, we're seeing a moderate amount of buying, but in Asia, we're seeing insane selling pressure. So some people brought up to me India banning crypto. I don't buy that. I think that Indians, you know, dot not feather, no offense, sorry, but Indians in general know the drill by now, that they know that their country moves back and forth as to how friendly they're going to be to crypto. And so a lot of them, if a country I lived in banned crypto, that would not stop me. I would break the law. That would not stop me from acquiring and holding more crypto. And I think Indians are acting in that way. But the big thing that I pointed out was Huobi, essentially, and OKEX moving out of China. And so they are, by December 31st, Huobi is going to be completely out of China. And so it's insane. I shared this on my Twitter account, so you might have already seen it, but it's insane. The net position change in Bitcoin on Huobi. Now, what is this? I mean, this is people pulling their Bitcoin off of that exchange, but it's also a lot of Chinese holders being scared that they don't want to be cracked down by their government. They don't want to be caught holding Bitcoin. And so they're also selling. And so you see this kind of selling pressure essentially over the last half of the year. And what I'm telling you is that all of that is going to go away on January 1st. And so honestly, if it wasn't for this, and if it wasn't for that Asian selling pressure, I truly believe that we would have crossed six figures by now. And I have not heard anyone else say that. That can be my my position, the thing that I hold. All these people, I see people bragging about how, you know, they were one of a kind, that they didn't predict six-figure Bitcoin. And I'm telling you, they got lucky. They got lucky because nobody could have foreseen this kind of selling pressure from China, from this exchange, in order to reshuffle, but not only this exchange, but OKEX as well, in order to reshuffle positions. If it wasn't for this extreme event, we would have crossed six figures this year. And so what does that mean for early 2022? We'll have to wait and see. I am bullish for 2022. My price targets have not changed. And it's just a matter of the timing. And now we have to deal with Fed, you know, potentially talking about raising rates, which there's other things that I'm looking at that I wouldn't be surprised. I'm going to have to do more research on this. I wouldn't be surprised if they pivoted before they even raised a first quarter of a percent, which is unprecedented in history. They are stuck right now between a rock and a hard place. It's going to be very interesting to see where they go with this. But otherwise, that is all I have for today. There are a few things that I spent yesterday looking up these so-called low cap gems that are supposed to 100 and 500x. I am not impressed with a lot of them. I did post a review of 4 of those cryptocurrencies on my TikTok account, World War Bitcoin on TikTok. Check that out. And otherwise, follow me on Twitter. Follow me on TikTok. Subscribe to this YouTube channel if you haven't already. Smash up that like button. Leave a comment in the comment section. Leave multiple comments for all I know. So otherwise, I hope you have a great day. We are going to get through this. But you've got to be aggressive when that opportunity comes. Be an aggressive profit taker and have no regrets with the profits that you take. All right. I will see you in another video. Peace.